welcome everybody to our very first panel in Davos 2018. Look outside, the weather couldn't be better because so you cannot stay outside. You have to come in and suffer with us for a couple of hours a day. Welcome and thank you so much for coming. This is an unbelievable opportunity. And this is the sequel to the 2017 motto which we had, make our world great again. And look what happened within our 1 year, everything became beautiful, white. And we will see whether everything became also better economically or in gender. Let's discover something. This year's motto is on the finis, origine, pendet. It is written pretty much everywhere except here. And which means that we have to collaborate collectively in order to have a great outcome. And we start collectively to see whether our most important gender, and I'm talking this in awe here in front of women, are women, because without women, I would not be here, you would not be here. So let's discover what we can learn and how we can make our world much better in order to collaborate together for a better outcome. Please welcome our panelist, Priti from India.
Thank you.
By the way, everybody came explicitly for our panel that is here, primarily. Then we have Natasha from Slovenia. She just arrived by car today.
I don't think we are so many. I don't think we are so many.
We have Viola. She just arrived from Transylvania. Be aware of her teeth. Thank you so much. Catherine, our magician in terms of communication from Holland. Samantha from New York. And Tina all the way from Brazil, from Brasilia. A quick question, Tina, where did you leave the sunshine, the Brazilian one? We will miss it. Put it on a blockchain. Ship it here. Instantaneous.
Right now.
Right now.
Wow. Knowing.
So I'm very happy to welcome everyone and for coming here exclusively for the first panel on a first day in 2018, Finis Origine Pendet, and it's all about women. Now, that is quite of strange. Why is me here talking as a man to women about women issues? I cannot even pretend to be one. Well, the reason was pretty much we couldn't organize somebody more adequate for that one based on last year's experience. So that will not happen again next year, and that is a promise I make today. So let's start with the women panel and the technology leader. Each one of the panelists is a leader in his own way, applying new technologies in their industries. And we have to see that economically, companies which are headed by women perform 30% better on average. Yet we have only 20% of the corporation have women leader, which is a shame. We all would make more money and lose less and have better pension funds had we women as the leader. So what can we learn from all of us, and how can we make this economically and socially better in order to improve our outcome for all? And so I would like to address with the first question. Each one, please mention what your business is doing and how technology is applied in your business. For the moment, put away the women-specific issues, just what your business is. Priti, please explain. You are the leader in the fastest growing bank in India, Yes Bank, and it's a phenomenal bank, by the way. You go to the bank, you're like, can I have money? And they say, yes, welcome. And she's the master. That was a quick background about Priti. We met in a very funny circumstance. Many years ago in Davos at the small, I think it was actually Indian booth.
I think so.
And then we were standing next to each other. It was written Priti, and the thing I said, what is your name? My name is Priti. I said, hello, Priti. My name is Ugly. And well, now here so she is on a panel referring about her. Priti is on the board of Yes Bank, and for this reaching out to the marginal couple of million, dozens of millions of clients in emerging markets.
That's right.
And I leave it to you. Please explain Your Excellence.
Thank you, Casper. And just to make a note, so where I met Casper was Bollywood Night, so make sure you all come there this year as well. It's on 25th. But yes, so I live in India, and Yes Bank was started by an entrepreneur, Rana Kapoor, 13 years ago. Now market cap 12, 15 billion dollars. So you can make money in emerging markets, and that's where you should all, think about it. But 3 years ago, I went back to India. I was at the African Development Bank, and I started a think tank with the main mission of how do you take private capital to development. So the whole discussion in the development world right now, the sovereign donors, the countries, UK, Norway, etc. I mean, everybody's thinking, how do you get private capital in? And it's a challenge, which I'm sure the panel will address, because private capital likes returns, risks, etc. But in the last year, what we've seen, it's becoming more important that technology plays a role. So technology and capital have become like two partners. They are tit and tat, like, you've got kind of competing. Which one solves the problem better? So basically, I run a think tank on development challenges. I was all about capital, but now it's technology and capital, and I have about 4 examples to give you as we go along.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Priti. Natasha, you came from Slovenia, and now this is something really interesting. Some rough figures about finance and people who have a bank account in general, now independent of women. About 50% in the world have no bank account today.
This is not Slovenia.
This is not Slovenia, obviously. I'm not referring to Slovenia. This is on average. On OECD, it's about 98% do have a bank account. In non-OECD, about 50% have no bank account. For many different reasons. One is technology. Now, you built an unbelievable new company called Rebel. So she's rebelling against existing structures. She's rebelling against a conventional way of doing banking and finance and money management. Last year on the panel, we had a very important issue, and we had Özlem talking about how the education and the financial education of women is so fundamental in order to women to gain access and authority over their own finances and not leaving it to men, which in emerging markets is very important. Money Rebel is a new bank built by you and your partner for managing money for each individual better. Please.
Hello, thank you for inviting me. The idea came from our own company that we started 4 years ago. We are a financial consultancy firm, and we are dealing with wealth management, but of course everyone wants to have big clients. But then again, we are also coaching people how to manage their own money. And we stumble upon an issue that if I teach a man, I give him an hour, of course it's not enough, because we have a pattern in ourselves. And of course, if I say to you, you should do it like this, you go home thrilled, you will change something, but then again, you don't. And statistics say that 70% of people live from month to month. So with this issue in mind, we started to design an idea, because in the firm we are all money rebels. We don't want to live by the system that the country gives us, so we have our own system. We are 4 partners, and each of us has its own book. And my book is, of course, Independent Woman with a Whip. And everybody's saying, okay, do you have a whip? What can I expect from you if I sit down with you? I say, no. If we start today cooperating, you should do it like we say you'll do it. And of course, I don't have 24. I mean, I only have 24/7, so I cannot help millions. And Money Rebel steps in. So Money Rebel will be, it's not yet, but will be a smart mobile bank that will teach you from start how you should manage your own money. Of course, if you have 100% of your income, you should not spend 100% of your income. You should, of course, spend, for example, 80% and then save the rest. And of course, you should set your own goals. And this is where usually advisors stop. When I ask people, what is your goal? People do not have goals. Or they are so in vague, so we have to be specific. And we put down the goals, and when you start tracing where you are with the ghost today, of course you see, okay, this is possible. I can do it, I can do it. And then, of course, everything starts to roll. So this will be a bank that will teach you how to manage your own finance and bring you the independence.
Perfect. So independent management, gain authority over your own decisions through your platform, Rebel. So you rebel against existing dominance and patronizing by others and the whip from big banks or governments. Fantastic, isn't that fantastic? We gain out our own decision-making power. So here comes a really, really interesting, and I thank Viola for jumping in, because I have to say the program has slightly changed thanks to the phenomenal snowfall which we have. We always complain there is global warming. Today is probably the opposite, with punctual global cooling and coverage of snow. But there is Viola jumped in, and I wanted Viola to have on a panel on a short-term notice. And technology brings a very important aspect in an industry which might not be so obvious for us today, which is the sector of arts. There is a very famous artist, and his name, he fascinates me. By the way, I think he's the best artist that there is, that has ever been. His name is Wolfgang Beltracchi. He's a German guy who can copy artists from the past 300 years. About 100 artists, he can copy 100 artists for the past 300 years. And he doesn't copy one by one as a forger. He just takes the style of the artist and then creates new pieces of art. But obviously leaves the Van Goghs and the Dalis and so on. He did it so successfully that nobody ever could find out. Actually, his pieces of art ended on the cover of the Christie's magazines. They were traded in the big Sotheby's. Big art collectors in New York have them, and they consider them the best pieces of that particular artist, even not knowing that this is a fake. To the point that he got caught in a very bizarre circumstance. And he got caught because some random certification company made a test about his colors. And they had a white which didn't match. It was a titanium white. Titanium didn't exist when I think it was Van Gogh painting. So they caught him. He went to jail for 5 years. Wolfgang is out. He lives in Switzerland. He came to Switzerland. And again, he becomes a very famous artist. So that might not be so obvious, but the digital technology can lead to a very important step in arts or luxury goods such in order to solve problems. Viola.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, definitely technology helps on different layers. In the art world, I'm a curator and I'm an advisor. I started my independent practice 3 years ago, and actually I'm working in two ways with technology. One of my mission is the promotion and representation of digital art, which is definitely created through technology, and the collectibility and the aspect of digital art is less popular than paintings or sculptures because of the newness and the alienated aspect of the medium. So I'm working on that, and it is definitely opening up new horizons on the field of art, and also concerning how to approach and how to engage the audience. I'm talking here about different VR experiences, video works, or other digital platforms. And at this moment, I would like to refer to this second point, how I'm engaged to technology, is the implementation of blockchain or the distributed legend technology into the art world in a way of how can we use this relatively new but super diverse technology in order to make the distribution of art easier, more traceable. It's actually with that, particularly in case of Ethereum with smart contracts, we can definitely trace better each artwork provenance since the beginning. So basically technology algorithms are taking over the role of the people who were more subjective than this system can be if we actually develop this system and if we engage people and we build up a network online, and that's one of the things I'm working on.
Thank you very much, Viola. Catherine, Catherine is a leader actually here in Davos. So we are followers, but you are a leaders. And you're not only a leader, but you use technology to shape the world. And you change the world. So successfully, she built up the Global Changemakers program. The Klaus Schwab from the WEF, the owner, liked it so much that he copied it. So much about copy. Today, no more possible. Today, blockchain wouldn't allow it to do so, Mr. Klaus down the road. But it was a little bit different. Catherine, the technology and global change, how you engage also the young ones, the young people, how to shape the future.
Thank you for having me here. It's nice to be back in Davos. And I really look forward to learning from my fellow panel members and also from you. I'm not just saying that to be nice to Casper. It's actually I built my career around collaborative learning and working together. As Casper said, I'm running Global Changemakers. And let me start by asking you a question. Is anybody here under the age of 25? Right. So does anybody know what the number of the population is in the world today that's under the age of 25? Any idea? What, but so the percentage?
60.
30.
You're getting there. It's 50%, and obviously in certain countries it's even higher than that. But so half the world population is currently under the age of 25. Now, obviously, that is an immense number, and so we decided at some point to start a project called Global Changemakers, and we built that into a global organization. We basically provide trainings for young people, obviously using digital technology, and we also provide startup funding for these young people to be able to implement their own ideas. And these are solutions for issues that beset us all. So we look for sustainable solutions. Yeah. So it's business ideas, but it will need to be a social business, or it needs to take in externalities. So that's the focus of my organization. And so far, we reached 200,000 people, affected 4 million people. Yeah, that's Global Changemakers. And needless to say, digital technology has been a driver, has been a force within our team, within the network of young people we have, and obviously also an equalizer.
Thank you so much. We have talked about finance, we have talked about art, education. Now comes one of the biggest contributors to the GDP is consumption, retail. We make our own choice. We go and shop whatever we want. We are quite stupid in the selections we make. Samantha from New York came up with a new way how to make our decision, how to price products. Her market is $1 trillion in America alone. Now you can imagine, just as a comparison, the GDP of US is around $15 trillion. We have in China today, the online sales are around $3 trillion, and most go through one single application, online based from Tencent. It's called WeChat. And it is so huge. And Samantha plays into this market, having invented, not only invented a completely new approach and algorithm, and could patent it, how to make better choices and get better prices in retail.
First, thank you so much for having me. And you guys are amazing. I'm honored to be a part of this panel. So my company was inspired by options markets and dynamic pricing in the airline industry. We found a way to gather data from customers and use it to drive profitability and optimize operations in the retail industry. I liked what you did, so I'm going to copy you. Thank you. Raise your hand if you bought clothing, home goods like furniture, like the chair I'm sitting on, electronics or accessories like my bag in the last year. Anybody buy that stuff on or offline? Okay. Keep your hand up if you got it at a discount. 30% off, 50% off. Any good shoppers here? Okay, a lot of you. Great. As Casper said, the retail industry in the States, what we're dealing with, clothing, home goods, electronics, and accessories, is about $1.1 trillion in the US. I'm using US stats, but the idea is applicable globally. Retailers in the US, though, do something very special. On average, they discount 30 to 40% off, meaning they're surrendering $455 to $710 billion annually just last year. And discounting, when it happens in discrete units. When you shop, you see things for 30% off, 50% off. You never see something for 2.8% off.
So our product allows a customer, and I'm going to talk about it from the perspective of a customer, because we can all imagine ourselves that way, to buy a thing at a cheaper price. Imagine you want to buy my black bag, for example, and it's priced at $1,000 US. You think in your head, that's insane, I'm never going to spend that much on a bag. And you take out our app, and you tell the retailer 3 things. First, you fill out your customer profile. On the blockchain, it's a self-sovereign identity. And then you tell the retailer the most you're willing to pay. Wow, $1,000 is insane. But you know what? I would pay $101. And then you tell the retailer how long you're willing to stand by your personal price. I don't need that bag for a long time, for 8 months. You can also say you want it today. It's a swimsuit. You can say you want it June 1st. You're giving the retailer a put option. You're giving them the right, but not the obligation to sell it to you at your personal price anytime between today and the end of your time frame. In real time, we give you a response. Either you get your item right now, within your time frame, or not at all. So the algorithm is kind of complex, but what's happening is we're looking at factors from 3 sources. The customer, your blockchain profile, and so your profile, you can add all sorts of things, or you can just add a few things, but you could add your name, you could add your return history, you could add your size. So you're adding innate and behavioral attributes. The retailer's similarly filling out a profile, their goal margin, projected markdown, when they need this category out of the store by, want all bathing suits out by July. And then we're looking at exogenous market factors that might affect foot traffic, like the weather. So in real time, all these things get weighted to tell you. So in the bag example, $1,000 bag, the retailer's thinking 90% off, they're just about to liquidate it, they still have a lot of items in inventory, and you bid that $101. So they say yes. So we're finding out the maximum price each item clears the market, effectively moving retail from static to dynamic pricing.
Wonderful. So in a dynamic way, we go to the next one, Taina. Taina is a very interesting story. We pushed each other from the chair in New York during a United Nations meeting. And it's very funny. We were competing to have the better seat in order to watch somebody else. I didn't know her. She didn't know me. I don't know who was stronger. I think I ended up on the floor. But so Taina, maybe a quick background about your family, but this is really remarkable. We talk a lot about emerging markets, about technology, but you really implemented what many talk about. And you implemented that, started with your father, basically. He was the Deputy Minister of Agriculture in Brazil. And he was one of the first to try to find ways, in collaboration with the United Nations, in order to provide loans to the marginal citizens and entrepreneurs, not only to give money and expect them to pay back, but to make them sell them, the borrowers, that they become successful on their own, that they can actually pay back the money. Because often it's the case, you give them money, with all honesty, they try their best, but they don't know how to sell it, or they are being undercut, or middlemen profit from their being new entrepreneurs and so on, and they cannot pay back the money, which leads them into bankruptcies and other shaming and blaming in society. So Taina took all this approach and put them digitally, founded Moedas, which is today the #1 digital platform on
in
online
cooperative
bank,
system,
cooperative
banking
system in Brazil, now experimenting in Africa, in Latin America, in Southeast Asia, wherever we talk. And it's moving very fast. And Taina has also been named now by Forbes as the 30 under 30.
No, the most innovative founders.
Most innovative founder.
The 12.
So it's a privilege that you came all the way from Brazil and talk about Moedas and how you approach and include the borrowers in the full economic cycle.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. It's my first time. And it's a beautiful snow like we don't have in Brazil. So, honored as well to be with amazing women and all the amazing work that you have done beautifully today to put all those brilliant minds together. Thank you for everything. And yes, since my father started, he was always like a visionary. And in 1996, he started a program called Pronaf. Was a big program into the government. It still is the biggest, largest credit provider for low interest rates. But as a government, you always have the bureaucracy. So it takes a lot of time for especially women and people in the rural areas to have access to credit. And the average credit in Brazil that you can take is 143%. So that is it's too high. Like people cannot afford that credit. So I realized that blockchain could bring us that revolution of trust. Trust between an investor that can be from the other side of the world, like in China. Most of our investors are Chinese and they are millennials. They are all in their 20s. And connect them directly with people in Brazil that are in really need of that money. So I call it not just microfinance, because we do big finance too. We have big communitarian solar power projects, biomass, and farmers, and milk factories, and beautiful projects that we are building right now. But I call it precision finance. So we had in August 841 investors coming from China. We raised $20 million in a crowd-source, which we call initial coin offer, when we issue our first coin. And from August to now, we developed the project in Brazil. We have people in New York, in China, and the office, the beautiful office in Brazil, and in Uruguay. And from the 18 projects, we already are lending $1.5 million from that money to the right people for all those. So we're getting from China to Brazil and that precision finance with the all transparency. Because sometimes you want to help, but you don't know how. So you handle the money, oh, I'm going to help someone, I will handle a $100 check. But you don't know, oh, if it's for some disaster, which doctor I'm sending that money, which child, which medicine I'm buying. You don't know exactly, but with blockchain, you can have that transparency. And that transparency is important for us into the microloans because build that trust between the investor and the borrower so they can see and we filter through the sustainable development goals. So if they want to help just projects with education, they can go ahead. Just gender equality, SDG number 5, they can go ahead, and we prioritize women because we know, like Brazil, we all know the history of corruption in Brazil and also the history of machismo. Like the women are really behind, years behind, and women in the rural areas, forget about it. Like it's very, very hard to get access. So that's what we're doing, providing opportunity and building trust using the blockchain technology, AI, and everything that is possible to make it happen. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. A wonderful panel. A little applause for all these excellent leaders that we have here. All young, all innovative. Now, as this panel is about women in technology or technology for women, I would like to ask you all a question which you individually can ask in a fourth thing. I mean, we have aspects of social, policy, and economic. And these are all very complex issues. And there are men and there are women, there are old, there are young. There are cycles in policies and in economies and so on where we have shifting priorities. But we have seen everybody of you is a leader in its own field, and they're all women. And as we know by now is that corporations perform better if they have more women included. Why are there not more? I would like to ask you, how can we make social frameworks better to accommodate women in the economic fabric, to improve our overall social standing, not only for women, but for the whole society? Maybe I ask, we go through it the same way, maybe for facility reasons.
Okay, so, you know, you've asked a question, but there are various dimensions. So first I want to talk about gender credits. You know, this is a new concept we are launching, like carbon credits. So you said SDG 5. So when there's a woman enterprise, you know, they can issue these credits, which we are working with UN Women to make sure that they are tradable. And then those who want to kind of buy women's credit, or you just talked about this, that in the US, for instance, you need to have 19.2% women on your board. And if you don't, then gender credits becomes an instrument you can buy. So it's very much the same concept as carbon credits, but that's what we are you know, bringing out as an instrument. And then the returns go back to the women. So that's one. And a lot of my colleagues talked about blockchain. So again, we are using blockchain. We did a crowdfunding to raise money for women weavers in India. We raised 25,000. But we're making that as a brand, a global brand. And the blockchain goes back to the weavers. And then 30% of the profits go back to the weavers. So these are some initiatives, but when you're talking about the socioeconomic reasons, so as a bank, we've started 3 branches right now in New Delhi called Yes Grace, where we're trying to impart more digital e-commerce and financial literacy to women. And I think as we help them do that, they are launching their own businesses. So there are at least 3 startups that I can think of that have launched. So I think the way to do it is just to provide this extra effort in kind of bringing women up to wherever they need to be, and then they're on their own. So those are some of the projects we are doing. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you. Natasha?
We don't actually we don't have a project aiming at women specifically. I mean, our company is 50-50%. So we are always like being, like men and women. For us, from the start, when I started business 20 years ago, it was always like the best way to do it. But specifically in our business, we can find that women are mostly keeping their household finance. So, for example, when we talk to a man and say, okay, but who is responsible for finance? He says, okay, I have to ask my wife. And then the wife comes, both come, and we start to talk to both, because the issue is that if one decides to make something different, it's not enough. You are in a pair. You decided to live a life with partner. So we are very dedicated to the position where both have to come, and we have to talk to both so that they know what will happen in 1, 2, 3, 4 years. But specifically the program for women, we in our company, we don't have.
So for you, it's a logic coexistence and a collaboration.
Exactly.
And sharing is caring, and
yes,
for a great future.
We find this best.
That's wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Viola, in art, can we paint in red and yellow in equal terms?
Yeah, actually, it's on in the art world. This question is on the table since the 70s. There is a great example posed by the Guerrilla Girls collective. It's an anonymous collective based in New York in the 70s and 80s. And they asked on different platforms in urban space in the city, like, how come there is no female artist exhibited at the MoMA? Because actually the art world still today is mostly dominated by white female protagonists. So we working on with like a bunch of young female curators, artists, museum professionals, collectors to rewrite the history of art and bring different perspective on that by engaging people from minorities, from less central areas, and also to give more voice to the certain female approach, which is not necessarily meaning a biological female approach, but also a kind of energy which has been historically demonized by different narrations and representations.
That means something, not demonized, coming from Transylvania.
No,
So
not that way.
You know, yeah, not a thing. That's fantastic. Catherine, what do we need to change?
Well, where do we begin? No, so I think it's really nice to hear these examples, and I think having those having those projects put in place can really spiral us up, because at the end of the day, I think a lot of it is about perception. You went straight to solutions, and I think it's also important to discuss what's underlying the gender inequality, and of course that's too big of a topic, but I think one of the very important elements to it is perspective and how we look at men and women. What we have ingrained in our system, in our newspapers, in our thinking. Let's say you Google the word scientist. You will find, if you do Google images, you will find, you find mainly what do you think you'll expect? What do you think you'll find if you Google that? Scientist. If you put it in Google, what do you think you'll find?
Male.
Yeah,
Einstein.
you find white males of a certain age. Now, that is also factually correct, right? Because I'm quite sure the actual percentage of scientists is probably, I don't know the exact numbers, but let's say it's 70 to 30. So that's what you'll find in Google. However, in Google, it's even skewed. So you'll find 90% white males, right? So even these, where we think it's objective, it's not a representation of the reality. So just imagine a girl Googling the word scientist. She's not even going to find a factual representation. She's going to find a skewed representation. So she'll find even more males dressed up in white lab coats. So that means the algorithms are already skewed. And this is all about the people who have designed those and implemented those. They had already some vision and some ingrained concept of gender. And I think that's where the real issue is coming from, our perception. And well, to just conclude, also based on my area of expertise, which is young people, of course, the younger we begin with the education and trying to get this out of all the layers in society, the better.
Thank you. Samantha?
I'm going to choose a different perspective because I feel like my colleagues have done such an amazing job. I guess I'll cover education. I'm a mom of 3 children, and I'm going to use this opportunity to highlight Dean Kamen's company, FIRST. It stands for Inspiration and Research in Science and Technology. And I feel like a great place to start is with changing perception and it also celebrating children who are engaging and learning science and technology. So what he does in the States, and this may not be true in all your respective countries, because we all come from a very, very different culture. So I'm very much speaking from my own perspective. Where I grew up, it was not cool to be the smart child. It was cool to be the sports star. And I know that's very different in a lot of cultures. But Dean Kamen celebrates the smart child. He celebrates the child who's working hard, who's learning about algorithms, making robots, doing differential equations. And he puts the kids in a contest, and they compete. And there are prizes, and he actually celebrates it really similar to the way we celebrate sports teams, and it's caught on tremendously. And so I think a huge part of the solution is giving our children these tools, teaching them science, math, technology, be they female or male, and then celebrating that.
That's fantastic. Taina?
For me, I see in empowering women and developing this global framework to really empower women, we need to fight poverty, but not poverty in the sense that we think, but the poverty of the mind, which is that perception. Because once you don't have your basic needs met, you don't know if tomorrow or next month you have meal for your children, you don't feel safe to make decisions. You don't feel safe to change. So we need first to support those basic needs to be met, food, shelter, everything, all the supportive system. And to fight that poverty mindset where they feel free to speak up, to go for it, and to change and to make it happen. So I'll go for it.
You go for it.
Yeah.
All the way. We make a statement. I make a statement. Now, based on all this fantastic new technology that we have today, that is emerging, we read every single day Bitcoin makes a new peak. Well, not so much today maybe, but it continues to do so if you look on the average over the past year. Blockchain here, blockchain there will solve all the solutions. Smart contracts, no more necessary for arbitral decision making from a legal perspective. And my professor and mentor here, Jeremy, I don't know, he probably wouldn't agree because he would lose his job. We don't need lawyers anymore. It's a fantastic world. We have the independent decision making on mobile devices, artificial intelligence. Well, I ask myself, do we need proper regulation if technology can solve on a cross-border basis all the issues about gender differences and inequality on corporations, in the decision-making for money matters and so on? Why do we need regulation? Why can we not let technology take care of it? Maybe, Natasha, you are probably at the front of that issue because you're also a proponent on a European level, and you're very engaged from Brussels standpoint, how to frame new policies in order to accommodate digital technologies in finance?
Actually, we are. I know that there are lawyers in the audience, so and my husband is also a lawyer. So yeah, we have. When we started our project Money Rebel, of course, we stumbled upon many issues because we did also the ICO in November successfully. We closed it with 2.3 million. And we are all again doing ICO in April this year. So the main question is, okay, how can I start a business when I don't know about the European environment? You know, it's not really safe to start an ICO because you don't know what will come tomorrow. So when we were thinking, okay, can we postpone the ICO, for example, this year? We are not sure because nobody knows what will happen.
Maybe, 1 second. ICO is what?
Initial coin offering, as a colleague of mine already said.
And what does that mean?
Initial coin offering means that you are giving the opportunity to, let's say, small people like us. For example, most probably you heard about Facebook. Has anyone invest in Facebook from the start? No, yes? You had to wait till the IPO, till it was listed on the brokerage, and then you could, of course, buy the stock. And of course, by then, the stock was already very much in value. So today, what happens is that there are great projects out there. Of course, you should be aware which are great and which are not, because many of them are also scams. So you should be aware which is the team behind, what is the business model of the project, and then, okay, say, yes, I will support this project. And the project is open to everybody. You can invest in the project. You can invest in project from the start, which means that you can be a part of something great for 5 cents, which can be tomorrow $2. In fiat world, we never saw, I mean, 1,000 euros, 1,000% of interest rates. This is impossible. What is going on now? But today, it is possible for small people like us to be a part of something great. And the issue that you asked with the legal issues is that SEC has already spoken about, the ICO. China forbid the ICO, and Europe is talking about what will be the next step. Nobody knows. But I mean, the digital transformation is here. The robots are here. It's not something that will be in 5 or 10 years. It's already started. So when I watch Star Wars with my kids, I say, okay, how come this was a visionary? Somebody was, somebody knew what will happen in 50 years from when he started a film. So yeah, I would really like to know from the business point of view, what kind of frames should I be aware of? But because today, I have to say, it's a chaos.
So you like clarity in order to deploy capital for your business?
Exactly.
Good. You're all for proper regulation and policies? Yes, you're all for it?
Yes.
That's why you get engaged in Brussels?
Yes.
Very good.
I am trying. I mean, we are all trying. Also, Slovenia has a part of it. So we are talking to our government what should be done in order to
so the right policies are important to accommodate the new technologies in order to function properly.
Exactly.
That's right. Perfect. Maybe Samantha, in terms of retail, it's a $1 trillion market in the US. Can technology surpass regulations and include the dynamic pricing in the entire economic fabric in decision making?
We're very lucky. Our product doesn't run counter to any regulations. We work within the existing system. So from that respect, I wouldn't say we're disruptive. I would say we're helping with the evolution of retail. We're leading it in a direction that it's 1,000% going to go anyway. All other industries are priced dynamically, from commodities to to transportation, to the airlines. And actually, in retail, it creates value for both sides, for customers and retailers. So we're in the wonderful situation of this. It doesn't run counter to anything, and it helps both sides, and even decreases the environmental impact of moving goods from one place to the other.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you increase the trust within the supply chain between the buyer and the seller, really. That is very interesting. Now, technology is, for Dina, it's all about technology, and it's all about policies. And not only local policies, but also international policies, because you take the sustainable development goals as your goals, and you extend them through your blockchain all the way to the borrower.
Yes, it's about technology, but technology in the hands of good people.
And who is good?
We are here building, and we need to empower more good people, because technology can go either way. And it's not the end, it's a way. So technology can connect people, technology can provide better opportunities, technology can cut the intermediaries, any intermediaries that we have across many different industries. Technology can accelerate time between decisions, because like my government in Brazil, when they see someone that is suffering from hunger or thirsty, and they see that, and they get the data, and from that time to make a decision within the government and issue a policy or something, oh, let's help those people, and let's write a project, let's get that approved. And then by the time that those people, they get the food or something, that is 6 years. So we don't have that time to waste anymore, and the government cannot be on the way, like every time
So no more wasting of food and wasting of time.
No more wasting of time on the decision-making process across like many different industries. So technology is a way, but we do need to empower good people to bring the right direction in how to use that technology.
So you collaborate with the good people to create good regulation, to put technology in the good hands.
Yes.
Do good to the power of 3. That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Catherine, in order to accommodate all these global new shapers and leaders and change makers, you make change. Who makes the change? The technology, the policymakers, the investors? Who makes the change? The politicians?
Well, I do think there's an important role for the policymakers and the politicians. And obviously, at the end of the day, anything digital is going to be a tool. And as to your point, it all depends in whose hands it is and to what use it's been put. And I do think you need regulations to answer your previous questions, because I think we've seen with so many disruptive new technologies and new technological innovations that they've basically been sort of snapped up by the big corporations, and they have become status quo, and they have proved to actually continuate some of perpetuate the status quo. Thank you. And so I think regulation is quite important. Otherwise, I would say business does not have the incentive to change anything, or to indeed allow the new digital technologies to actually be disruptive in a way that could really create a change. So yeah, policymakers and politicians. I put my money on them.
Yeah. Very good. Viola, in art, obviously, I mean, I can create a piece of art and I can fake a piece of art. I mean, I can deal whatever I like. Why should I like clear regulations? I mean, whoever likes my art, he can pay whatever he wants.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, because that's why I believe the distributed legend technology can be revolutionary in the art world, because it will definitely break down this very monopole hierarchical system. Basically, like big galleries, auction houses, and museums are telling to the global audience what is good art. Since the judgment about art is highly subjective, that's why I believe if there would be a more emancipated, horizontal, network of people who could directly connect with the artist and really redistributing the economy of attention, and also kind of constructing a new value system would provide more space and more flow to art, and maybe art could step out of this regime of elitist representation. I hope so, yeah.
That's wonderful. I mean, we heard so many different inputs, how technology or women in technology can really leverage the power not only of decision making in financial management, like from Natasha, in order how to reach out, become independent, provided by the funds from Taina and from Priti, from Yes Bank. After all, my bank is called Yes Bank. I don't know if there is an opposite bank also. In Switzerland, I think they should call the banks no banks. But it's good to hear that in India you have a Yes Bank. And it's really, really interesting. That's why we probably become the leaders in financial technology, to jump over those no banks that we have in the OECD countries. And then we have obviously the policy makers and decision making in retail, again giving the power to the individuals through technology. And then in art and in global change makers, in education, very important too, to accommodate. I think would like anybody from the panelists to ask some questions to your colleagues on the panel or in the audience, how technology and how women in technology could make a change to improve the socio-economic fabric that we have.
I would like to hear the thoughts of people in the audience, actually. I wouldn't be able to call upon anybody, but I'd be very curious to get your perspective on this.
There's one at the back there.
Please. Oh, microphone. Where's the walking microphone? We don't have one. Okay.
There is an additional one.
Sure. It's on. One, I want to give the panelists a lot of respect. I've been in the blockchain. Actually, my name is Ken Goodwin. I'm a former bank regulator of the New York Federal Reserve Bank of New York, Bank of Japan. I also run Genesis Capital Markets based in New York City. So I give full disclosure, I advise several blockchains, ICO firms. I'm a former speaker of the Blockchain Economic Forum, as well as TXF. So this space is very dear to me, because one of the things that's very critical in the blockchain space, as well as cryptocurrency, is trying to get more women involved. That's very important in terms of STEM, but not just in terms of locally, but globally. But what I'm hearing tonight, which is very critical, is the diversity of different topics. You have global change makers. You also have art, which I'm also an advisor to LA Token, which also we do that in terms of collectibles as well, which is an art-based blockchain itself. We have also a bank in India. We have multiple different types of, we have the 3030, which Tupperware, I believe one of your colleagues is a 3030 for Forbes.
No,
so you have a
innovative, most innovative, not
most innovative, right?
Yeah.
So we have a very diverse group of individuals that has to be reflective in the different types of panels that are being discussed around the globe. So I commend the founder of this conference tonight, because when you go around the globe, you don't see as much. And it's very important to show that in terms of from STEM, but also in terms of cryptocurrency, as well as for blockchain. So that's pretty much what I'm thinking.
Thank you so much. It's very interesting. Zaga, here we have Zaga arrived just today from Colorado, Denver. It was a on-the-spot decision that she comes here last week. It took her how many seconds? 5 seconds. That's 5 too much. Today we are real-time decision-making processes with new technologies. Zaga is a PhD with the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. That's the world's largest disease control center. And how do you control technology? And how you apply technology?
I want to thank you all for your, for everything really. So I'm working in public health. I'm a health scientist, totally different field. And yet I see the relevance of public-private partnerships in order to move forward, whether it be the SDGs or any initiative to kind of distribute wealth across the planet. So there's often a disconnect, right, between ideas at the very top, theories, you've got theories we've all written, and what, how do you make sure that the women in these rural areas in Brazil, for example, or in rural Ethiopia, know about these initiatives that are set aside, like there might be money set aside to help them how do you make sure that they know about it, right?
Yes.
There's always a disconnect, unfortunately, and I don't know how you guys hope to see, as you said, technology kind of gets rid of that intermediary. How do you make sure that there's the chain of information, there's a flow, and not just initially in terms of getting people in, but making sure that they're consistently joining and programs or whatever's designed for them is adapting to the needs of the local populations. Often you design something really amazing at the top and you get to the ground and it's totally different. So I'd be curious what your thoughts are on that.
Can I?
Maybe that that's a question addressed particularly to Taina. He's smiling all the way.
Sure. Like we right now, what do we know is that even in the rural areas, they have access to WhatsApp. So we are approaching the things that they are already using, but also under the framework of the cooperativism system. So we already signed up with 1,100 cooperatives, and they are structured people. Like they are already thinking in terms of community. They are not just an individual that goes to ask for a loan. They are a group of people in the community. So we train the community leaders, and we go not just with the credit, but also with the technical assistance, the business plan, the feasibility studies, and sometimes what I said with that mindset of abundance. We go with therapy too, because once we handle money to women, their husband, they call out. We got women that were beaten up by men, and we had to provide support, extra support, for them to speak up and have a safe line of call to call us and ask for help. So the framework that we need to support women comes across like many different values. So we need to support in all the basics. We need to build that structure where that is cooperation. So we use the cooperative structured system that we can replicate like in other systems. Like we have like more than 1 billion people sign up into cooperatives. But also we can teach people how to collaborate, how to reciprocate, and how to support each other, because we do need more women to support each other, and we do need to teach them how to support that. So that with technology, that can help. We can help through the existing things that they already use, like building a WhatsApp group for support. And then we have the application where they can submit instantly feedback in how they are receiving that support, and we can improve upon that. But what I see right now is like the gap between existing solutions. We do have a lot of technology there, and we do know all the problems in the world. By that time, we have all the data all mapped out. We know health. We know that is like, we need to do something. Now it's like, how can we execute? How we can put that technology that was built in Kenya, we can put that in Brazil, we can put what is working in India, how that can benefit in Brazil. We need to teach people how to collaborate, so we don't need to reinvent things like all the time.
Collaboration is key. Yes, maybe Natasha, sorry.
Can I show?
You would like to show something?
Yes.
Do we have a slide? Did you give the slide? Oh, here we go. Yes. What do we have?
It's on the screen.
You can look at here.
Okay, sorry. But there is, do you see?
On that screen, no?
It's,
Yeah,
hello,
but here.
Okay,
Romina.
super, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. I have to put it back. For example, we had an issue with financial advisors when cryptocurrency started. Financial fiat advisors, of course, said, okay, what is going on? This is a totally new world. But coming from health, of course, I had a lot of issues, health issues. So what I saw is that the traditional medicine and the alternative medicine do not cooperate, which is for me something. If you say that you are in medicine, then of course you do it because you want to help people. Yes. So when traditional medicine doesn't work, what would I do? Of course, I would go and see what alternative medicine is. And coming to finance, financial world, this is basically the same. So you have fiat and you have crypto. And as a fiat financial advisor, I was 5 years ago. Of course, nobody knew about crypto. I could say, okay, crypto is not good. Yes, I don't know the word. But no, you should know. You should get familiar with the new word. You should find the best things in both words and connect them. So what we did, for example, is that we started to think, okay, financial advisor should be familiar with both words. And then they can say, okay, how much you should put your portfolio into this word or into that word. And we connected both words. So let's see. For example, this is my wallet. You see, wallet, emergency fund, and investment portfolio. This is the 3 baskets that everybody should have. And down there, you see cryptocurrencies. But these are not in my portfolio. This is only the solutions that I'm tracking. They can be into my wallet or not. But the main thing is that you have both. So you start to think, okay, crypto is here, fiat is here. So what we did is you see in your portfolio everything. This is done automatically. The IP, most probably if you know, the PSD2 already came. So MiFID has changed, IDD, PISP, these are all legislations from finance. And we will be able to get everything, what my wealth is, into one platform. If I ask you, what is your wealth, will you know? I know that something I have in a bank, I say perhaps I bought a cryptocurrency, but usually people do not know their wealth. Okay. So you will be able to see that in the platform. And the most important thing is the knowledge. We said, okay, there is not enough knowledge. We should be a community where individual as well as financial advisor get together and share the knowledge. And this is the marketplace of knowledge. So the marketplace of crypto, fiat, as well as the marketplace of knowledge.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from the audience? Jeremy, you had something? Oh yeah, I thought you raised your hand. Anyway, so we had, let's go through that, what we heard here today. I mean, how can we make women better integrated in the technology, with technology, better integrated in society and economics? We deviated a little bit here in technicalities. I would like to hear from each one of you one single sentence. Think about it. One single sentence, how we can leverage the technology, the new technology, and make women to pair men in our society.
That's hard.
We heard a lot. We had from the good hands with the good regulators and the good technology from Tina. We had the good decision making from Samantha. We had the good education from Catherine. We had the beautiful art in the good hands with the good brushes with Viola. We had the good decision making on the online banking platform from Natasha, and the good Yes Bank. I mean, how much better can it be that I'm Yes Bank. Yes, you can have what you would like to have from my side in order to reach out. Each one of you, one sentence to conclude how we can leverage technology to integrate women in society better and pair them with men. Who would like to start?
I think for me,
Pretty.
it's women entrepreneurs. We are doing everything we can to encourage women entrepreneurs. And they're obviously already adopting technologies, but just focusing on them. So it's entrepreneurship for me.
Entrepreneurship to take technology and to pair it with men. Fantastic. Congratulations to the entrepreneurs from Pretty. Who is next?
Collaboration. Men and women, men should understand that women are equal, so this is the educational part for men, and women should understand that they're equal to men, so they have enough knowledge to stand up.
Thank you. Education, collaboration is essential in order to pair men with women, correct? Women with men, sorry.
Yes.
You see, I'm biased, but I cannot hide it, I guess. Next one.
Yeah, I would highlight experimentation, and the challenge and the amazing aspect of diversity, being gender, race, or class, or geographical. So again, diversity and experimentation.
Experimentation.
Yeah.
In what?
In a way of how to discover our own potential and how to use technology in different ways what we were not expecting
Perfect.
to.
Experimentation, collaboration.
I would say inclusion. I think the technology can really be a force for disruption, and I think that can give the space for inclusion, whether it's gender, but in all dimensions, I would say. And that leads me to the hope that next year this panel will have a different name.
What is the name that you propose?
Leaders.
Again, we had it. What do you mean? Leaders?
Leaders.
What do you mean? Oh, just leaders. So
Without
scrap the
women.
rest. Okay, yeah, digital you could,
No. The women I would like to see scrapped.
You want to scrap the women?
Yes.
Yeah, but what is my purpose then? If you scrap women, just leaders?
Yeah.
Ah, including.
Yeah,
With
Well,
old,
just
young.
Digital leaders.
We're leaders in
Okay,
certain
perfect,
fields, and we would like to discuss our fields. I don't think the fact whether we have boobs or not is that relevant at this point.
Well, okay. Interesting. Samantha.
I second that. I think amplify her voice, and I do believe that comes back to technology with giving him or her a self-sovereign identity that she can choose to keep private, monetize, or wield.
Self-sovereignty. Correct. Taina.
Back on that identity, giving that sense of belonging, giving that abundance mindset and freedom to women to make decisions. Yes.
The freedom of choice, freedom of decision making, correct?
Yes.
And Priti, we had from your part, we had entrepreneurship.
entrepreneurs.
So wonderful. So please applaud the entrepreneurs that are inclusive, experimental, collaborative, self-determined, and what did we have, Taina? What did we have from your side?
Freedom.
Freedom.
Freedom. Freedom to everybody. Thank you so much.